Our last task here is to stylize both the main text, which is here, and the subtext, which is here. Right? So first of all, let's go ahead and get rid of the red. I'm going to come into my CSS file, and I can go into the index.html, and I could take away this ID BG color. Right? And if you remember, that's what we used to see, visualize how big this box was that we made. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Say save, refresh, and I want to make this text bigger. Right? So I want this big. I want this a little bit smaller. So how do I do that? Well, the question you need to ask yourself now is this style, is this set of properties going to be used for multiple elements in my web page, or just this one? And if you notice on my website here, there's nothing that's this big, and there's nothing that's this big basically on my website. So these are both going to be IDs. So I'm going to come over here to my style sheet, and I'm going to say number sign. I can say main text, and now I want to make it bigger. So I'm going to say font size is going to be 40 pixels. Whoa. I'll save that, and now I need to use that inside of my index.html. So I'm over here, and right here is where I want to use it, right, for inspiring. And since this is an ID, I need to say ID is equal to parentheses main text. If it was a class, I could just put main text right inside of the double quotes, but I cannot, so because it is not. So I'll save that, come here and refresh. Ooh, it's getting bigger, but I do want it to be bigger. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to say 140 just to see if that looks good. A little bit too big because I do want this to appear on one line. So I'm going to change this back down to 20, refresh. No, still too big. 100, refresh, still too big. Say 80, refresh. Okay, there we go. And I want it centered, so I'm going to say text align center to make sure it's in the middle of the page. Great. And I also want to do the same thing for the subtext. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to say subtext and do the parentheses, and I'm going to use the same properties. So I'm going to copy that, put it here. This one I want to be smaller, so I'm going to say 60 pixels. And of course over here, in my index.html, I need to say ID equals. And here I'm going to put, instead of main text, subtext. And I'll save that, and I'll refresh. This is too big, so I'm going to come back over here and maybe make it 45. Save it. Whoa. So I'll save that, refresh, and there we go. So we're almost there, but this font is not good, right? It looks like it's Arial. So I want to set a new font for it. So I'm going to come over here to the new tab, and I'm going to type in Google Fonts. And I'm going to click on Google Fonts. I want mine to be handwriting, so I'm going to uncheck all these other styles so it only shows me the handwriting type of font, and I'm going to look for one that I want. So let's say, for instance, I want this one here. Okay, so I click on the plus sign, and I also want two different kinds of fonts. I want one for the bottom portion for the subtext, and one for the top portion. And so for the top portion, maybe I could use this one. It might not look so good, but it's good enough. Of course, you're going to be spending more time looking for fonts that look more beautiful. But now that I selected the fonts that I want, I'm going to click on this little box here, and it shows which fonts I selected. And I need to include this link tag to the top head, not the header, but the head of my web page where all the CSS files are. And I'm going to put it right in here. You see here how we have the fonts? I'm going to put it right in there. And maybe we can, tab it in. Okay. So there we go. And now if I want to use it, I can use these two properties, right, in my CSS file. So I copied those, and I bring them over here. And I want to paste it right there in the main text. The second one I'm going to use as my subtext. And so now I save that and come over here and I refresh. Doesn't look very nice, does it? So maybe I need to go back and find a better font, but that's the method that you're going to use to stylize your fonts. And of course, you should have stylized your titles up here at the top, and your links using the Google Fonts method earlier in the lesson series.